Alongside head football coach Chad Masters, John Edwards with you. And Coach, we didn't get a chance to chat last week, but the SMEC came to town, and it was a little bit of different lineup for you due to a lot of injuries. So talk us through how you had to put together your roster for last week, and how difficult was it for you as the head coach, relying on Kaden Markham, who's been the running back of the team, to play quarterback for you last week?
Well, I think that's something that we gotta, always do as coaches, is to adapt. I mean, in a way, it's one of our Marinist, characteristics of change and adapt a little bit, right? So, you're gonna be presented that with that opportunity to adjust every once in a while throughout the season. You never like it all at once, but we had quite a few injuries that we had to start some other guys and play some other guys in positions they weren't used to. But overall, I thought it worked out pretty good for the circumstances we were in. And I really felt that we were able to build a little bit of depth, able to build a few other things, and also just build our team up a little bit. That, when your backs are against the wall, and you still have to perform. You still have to go out and compete and fight. And, I really thought our kids did that, and we as coaches on that weekend, we had to sit there and say, okay, who do we have? What can they do? And how can we put them in a position to be most successful? And I think my coaching staff did a great job with doing that on both sides of the ball. And especially to do it against a team as talented and as successful as DeSmet right now. I mean, that's one of the top teams in the state of Missouri, definitely Class 6, if not all classifications. And, for our boys to go in there and compete from start to finish, and to do some things that were outside the box for them or outside their comfort zone, I was very, very pleased with what they did overall.
Third time, I believe, this year in which one of your first series has resulted in a touchdown from 80 yards out.
Yeah.
What is it about the success of that play or series of plays that has led to scores from such significant distance from goal?
I'm not sure if I can figure that out. I have an answer for a lot of things. A lot of that has with their preparation during the week. And sometimes it comes down to just making plays, like the, scoring against the Smet on the second play from scrimmage. That was a great job of blocking done by our kids. I mean, if you go back and film, you can see, all of us execute really well. We got some of the kids out of position there, and Cannon made a great individual play off of that too. And I joked with him afterwards, said, I thought you were going to get caught, and he said, so did I. If anything, what it does, it helps us with a little bit of confidence, especially in a game like that where you're probably going in a little bit outmatched, outgunned a little bit. And our kids, they never didn't believe, but to get in there and score like that early definitely gave them some confidence knowing that, hey, we can compete in this game and we can do some things. And I think that's really important for us as we just keep developing our team and preparing ourselves for that, week 10 and beyond. I think they realize that they can really run and hang with anybody. Now, like scoring a few other drives here or there, that's always the next thing. Other teams have a little say in that matter too, but it definitely, I think, through the preparation and through the game planning, I think we sometimes put ourselves in a position to be successful there. And now it's just about making adjustments and keeping that same momentum going through all four quarters of the game.
Not to single out what players do, Canaan this year, combined yardage over 800 yards combined on the season. And he gets a lot of help from the offensive line.
Yeah,
always. And he also does a lot of things on his own too. And he's always trying to create. What do you do to try to reel him in from that creation? Because the positive sometimes turns into the negative. And when you look at pro football players, running backs especially, they get to the line of scrimmage, they shuffle their feet, and then they're going backwards versus the guy who just hits the hole and goes straight in. What do you do as a coach to develop the young player and say, hey, listen, just move forward, go through the hole, let's not try shuffling our feet at the line of scrimmage?
I think a lot of it is just, in your drill work and in the team, in practices, it's the things that you really harp on. You look at it in film, you point out, the good and the bad of those choices. One thing you don't want to do, I think, is take the creativity and ability away from kids. Because, first of all, that makes it more enjoyable for them.
It's a pretty fine line, though,
Yeah, it's a fine line. Yeah, it's a fine line. but you try to get them to see it through your eyesight a little bit too, and understand where you're coming from on things. But it's one of those things that sometimes I've been there before, where you have a quarterback or someone, a little unconventional and throwing the ball and trying to force that ball into like triple coverage or whatever, and you start to get mad, and all of a sudden they complete the pass. You're like, whoa, hey, good pass, The thing is, you just got to get them to start thinking a little bit more analytically about, the pros and cons of what their choices are. Sometimes it is just okay to try and make a play, and you have to. Other times it's better to, just stick with what's working. That hole may be clogged up a little bit, but hey, we're on a short yard situation. We need that forward momentum as opposed to trying to break. We need a yard instead of trying to break it for 10. It's getting them to really understand from that cerebral way. And that's done through practice, done through film work, and that constant conversation and coaching. You're going to find that most of our kids, we're still coaching during games. We're even coaching fundamentals during games. That's big for us, to always constantly coach kids in all aspects. And that applies for defense, special teams, and offense, and not pass up the opportunity to try to, impact that kid and really, help them see how they can get better. But sometimes you got to live with it a little bit sometimes, but you try to get that out of them to where they're being a lot more fundamental. But you always have those players every once in a while that are just a little bit more dynamic, and sometimes they freelance a little bit. It gets great plays, and sometimes it gets them in trouble. And so as a coach, you got to try to work that out, but then at the same time know that it's kind of feast or famine sometimes with kids.
This weekend, you get SLU High, your first homecoming here in Vianney.
It is, yeah.
Expectations and thoughts on the first homecoming here?
I'm excited. I mean, a new experience for me. It's first time I've been homecoming in a single gender school too. I've been in co-ed schools my entire career up to this point, so it's been significantly quieter and less chaotic, than the other way.
Controlled chaos.
Controlled chaos, yes. Of course, I haven't been to the pep assembly yet, so I don't know what to expect on that. Really enjoyed it so far. I really enjoy the opportunity to, be in the school community during this week. I'm kind of excited to see because, at my previous school, it was a young school that, we've got alumni for going back for 60 years. And I had an opportunity to speak at the alumni group a week ago, which was neat. But just being able to touch base with those guys who've been here for a long period of time. Graduated here earlier and still staying connected. And it's kind of neat to go out and be able to see some of those guys on a Friday night homecoming coming back for their game. And for us, we just want to, perform to the best of our abilities and do the things we always do: compete hard and play hard and kind of see where the chips may fall. But I like where we're at this week, practice-wise and preparation, and just hoping to kind of complete the homecoming week in a very positive way. So I'm really enjoying the experience so far.
Talk about the progression of the team from week one now as we get to the midway point of the regular season.
We're getting better. I mean, each week we are, and it may not show up on a record or a scorebook or scoreboard. Even walking off the field against the Smet last week, I mean, the Smet was a very, very talented team. But our kids fought in that game, and they played hard. And I told them, I said, look, at some point it's not about the winning of this game that matters. It's about what standard are you setting for this program and your team right now, and for the next week, and for week 10 and beyond, and for next year and year after. Because 5 years from now, you probably won't remember the score of that game, but you'll remember how you played that game. And I think that's the thing. Each week, I know we've gotten better. We still got to clean up execution with things. That's kind of the big thing. We don't have much margin for error as a program that we can miss one or two blocks and expect us to get a positive play. There's times that we look at the game against the Smet, if we make, one more block or we get a guy to the outside shoulder instead of the inside shoulder, that may be a 25-yard gain versus a 3-yard gain. It's getting them to understand and see those things, that there's not a lot of margin for error for you. And I think they're getting that. We're several times looking on film and seeing the game, playing defense, you stop the video and we see 8 to 11 guys around the ball. That's huge for us right now. Things we weren't getting initially in the beginning of the year. They're starting to understand how we want to play, how we want to be, and constantly trying to get better at the execution of things. And we as coaches are still figuring out who they are and what they can do. And we're getting there right now. But I really like where we're at right now. I'd like to, obviously, like anybody, I'd like to have a few more wins on the win column. But, our schedule and who we play doesn't always afford that. But we are definitely learning. We are definitely improving. We are definitely figuring out how good that we can be. And we can be pretty good.
Coach, I appreciate a few minutes. Best of luck against SLU High.
Thank you very much.
We'll chat with you again next week. Head coach Chad Masters joins us. Best of luck to him and the team as they take on SLU High this weekend.
Go Griffins.